legacy of the Sadgoswamis actually. And also it sets the tone for taking the blessings of the Vaishnavas, specifically the Acharyas, so that we can serve the Vaishnavas. So I think today we are actually talking about Vaishnava etiquette, so I thought it will put us in the right mood, right thought. So let us sing this. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Nama
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna Prabhu, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
You're not here, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, we can't hear you at all.
Yes, Prabhu, not able to hear, Prabhu.
Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanipa Chaitanya Bhagavan ki jai. The lotus feet of my Guru and the Vaishnavas are my aspiration. Narottam Das, Das sings Harinam Sankirtan. Ecstasy, sing the names of Lord Hari and worship Vrindavan, joyfully fixing your mind upon the lotus feet of the bona fide spiritual master and the pure devotees. So that should be the life's goal. There shouldn't be any other goal other than that. Should be to the lotus feet of the Guru and Vaishnavas. Narottam doesn't say lotus feet of the Lord also here. Do you understand that?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Can you hear us?
Prabhu, it's a little low. Volume is a little low.
Okay.
And the audio from you.
Okay, we'll do that. So let's take the blessings of the Parampara and all the senior Vaishnavas is here. Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chaksurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Vaishnava Sri Rupa Sagar Jatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Saliham Sadvaitam Savadvitam Harijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakha Mitam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste. Aptakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sate Devi Paramam Hari. Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Nama Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityanami Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prachari Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshta Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Rama. Yes, I know. If you touch the mic, actually, just after Vipin Vihari Prabhu was leading a very ecstatic kirtan, and then he came and gave me the mic to say the Prem Dhvani, and I had a shocking experience. It actually gives quite a good shock. It was put down. That's okay. Yeah. But can I hear them? Yeah. So if they are saying, yeah. So actually, Achyuta Prabhu was very kind enough to ask me to speak. I've been thinking actually of speaking. I have been trying to work something on Vaishnava etiquette. It's more so for me than for anyone else. But I've been thinking of how we can improve our Vaishnava relationship. And I was just thinking of doing this, so I said him, okay, I can come for a morning class, but I actually want to speak on Vaishnava etiquette. He was kind enough to accept that, and he said, okay, you can. This session will not be sufficient for sure. In fact, I have kept 3 weeks for that. If Krishna wills, we can do each year Sunday, or else we'll have it online for those of you who are online. But this is a very, for us Vaishnavas, this is something which has to be our, like they say, bread and butter or our lifeline. It can be anything per se, whatever we are behaving, how we are standing up, how we are sitting, how we are dressing up, how we are looking at each other. All that contributes to etiquette. So a little bit of basic background we shall give. I just put in some things in slide. So we'll use that as the basis, but will not keep it only to that. And we'll come to some general understanding maybe towards. So we as we ISKCON people belong to Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. In fact, a few days back, I was attending Bhakti Vaibhav class, and His Grace Harilila Prabhu is our teacher there. And Prabhu was actually taking one of the purports. Many of my peers are there. So Prabhu was actually saying that the purpose of creating the material world, which Brahma has created, is to take the people back home, back to Garden. Prabhupada has written that that's the purpose of creation of the world. And then Prabhu was giving, pulling out a very nice analogy, and he was saying that is the purpose of creation of ISKCON also. ISKCON is for creating. And we ISKCON people are actually so fortunate because we belong to the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, and the Lord Himself has come in our Sampradaya. So Krishna came in, and so when we have to go back home to Godhead, so Krishna gave some glimpses of how the spiritual world looks like, everything He gave that, right? In the chapters, you can see the 10th, or you can even touch something in 11th, 7th also, some part of it. But then that was theory, and some practical also had to be done. So Krishna himself came in as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He came in the mood of Srimati Radharani, or the topmost devotee. Right? So he came to give us some practical knowledge of how we should behave, how we can be as devotees. Like I know this is Anil Prabhu. Anil Prabhu studies in Presidency University. He's not yet completed his studies, but now they have been teaching him. I think that's very fortunate of them. They don't do final project. They have to just attend the company which he's going to join. They have to attend the company's work, or they will train him. It's the on-the-job training kind of thing. So you practice now so that when you go and join the company, it becomes easier for you to assimilate in the company, and from day one, you can be productive. And that's what ISKCON is doing. We are actually being here on the job training. So we are being trained how we should behave amongst ourselves, how we should stay among ourselves, so that when we go back home, back to Godhead, so we don't have to, we have to be productive right from day one, serving Krishna, serving his consorts, being the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant. So for that, we have to practice here, right? And when you're practicing, we have to know what it is like. So Mahaprabhu, when he came down here, actually, a very nice analogy goes that one time in Los Angeles, Srila Prabhupada was actually taking an interview for a first initiation candidate, and he asked someone that, who is Chaitanya, and that candidate, so Chaitanya is an incarnation of Lord. Sometimes it is not wrong per se, but Prabhupada said, no, that's wrong. And he said, ask him what? Ask him one thing, who is Chaitanya? And he was a little taken aback. And Prabhupada only cleared him through when he said that Chaitanya is Krishna himself. Chaitanya is avatari, like Krishna is avatari. So it is fountainhead of all incarnations, we can call that way. And so when he himself came, and that too coming in the mood of a devotee, of the topmost devotee, Srimati Radharani, all his dealings were specifically very Vaishnava, because he had to teach how we have to behave amongst ourselves. And that's where comes this Antilila. I think that was the chapter of fourth chapter, and this verse actually comes when Sanatan comes down to from Vrindavan to Puri, and while coming down, he actually because he's coming, you didn't have your flights, Vista Airlines, Air India, others, so they were walking and coming, and when Sanatan was coming, Sanatan actually got some itch. And when Sanatan got some itch, it was quite bad. It was actually, it's mentioned that it was first was losing out, and others, by the time he reached, he didn't want to actually come and meet Mahaprabhu directly, because Mahaprabhu, as soon as he used to see the devotee, he used to embrace him. And he used to feel very bad about it. And so not only that, it's like, so he went and he in fact confided in Jagannath, saying that I think I should commit suicide. Mahaprabhu will do this, it's not good for Mahaprabhu. And Jagannath also gave a wonderful suggestion. Jagannath said, I think you should go back to Vrindavan soon. And Mahaprabhu figured that out. Mahaprabhu actually chastised Jagannath Pandit, saying, you are junior to him, how can you give instructions to him? He knows better than you. And that's where, once again, he is instructing him that how we should behave amongst ourselves. Right? And in fact, this is practically which Mahaprabhu was doing, even Krishna has shown. In fact, they said that when Krishna used to go and meet the Pandavas, he used to actually showcase Vaishnava etiquette, I cannot say Vaishnava etiquette, that the right dealings between people used to showcase that. With the Pandavas, we can exactly see what he used to do. He used to pay obeisances to Yudhishthira and Bhima also. To Arjuna, he used to embrace. And to Nakula and Sahadev, he used to give his blessings. Right? So that was a part of what it is. Nowadays, when people come, when we say to do something, they think that we are thinking, so we are speaking something, something out of topic. But it's not. It's something which has been ingrained in our culture. And then Mahaprabhu is speaking that. So coming back to the story here, when so one day when he chastised Jagannath Pandit, and then he came down and Sanatan came back. Sanatan came to meet him. Sanatan was staying with Haridas Thakur. So, like those of you who have gone Puri, you will actually notice that a little bit of difference where Haridas was staying vis-a-vis maybe Gambhira, a little distance across. So maybe when Sanatan came and he asked them, so how did you come? Sanatan said, I actually didn't come through the main road. I came to the other side. No one is affected. And that is the background to this thing. And when he says that, Mahaprabhu is actually very happy, and that's where Mahaprabhu speaks this verse. Yadyapi tumi hao jagat pavan Toma sparse pavitra hoy deva munigan Tathapi bhakta swabhav maryada rakshan Jagannath Maryada palan hoy sadhura bhushan. So my dear Sanatan, although you are the deliverer of the entire universe, and although even the demigods and great saints are purified by touching you, it is a characteristic of a devotee to observe and protect the Vaishnava etiquette. Maintenance of the Vaishnava etiquette is the ornament of a devotee. Such an important statement that you can liberate, you can purify everyone, but still you have to follow the Vaishnava etiquette. So it's not only for others, it's for us mostly how we have to practice. And that becomes very, which we have to ingrain amongst ourselves, that this is something which Mahaprabhu loves. In fact, it is said that after this, Mahaprabhu actually embraced Sanatan. It's a very tight embrace. A very, very tight embrace. And Sanatan's health issues, the skin disease was all gone. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. So everything was gone. In fact, he says after that, Maryada rakhile tushta koile moro man tumi aiche na karile kare kon jan. By observing the etiquette, you have satisfied my mind. Who else but you could show this example? Like when Krishna is cutting the one of the reasons for Arjuna not fighting is Varna Sankara. He says, actually, Krishna breaks that by actually calling out that however seniors behave, common men will follow. He cuts that way. He says, if you don't do that, then it is going to cause a problem to you. That's a different problem. It's a different class altogether. But that shows the importance of how seniors work, and when seniors work, everyone else follows. And that's why Chaitanya is saying to Sanatan, who else will say? Sanatan was the eldest. Sanatan used to go out in Brajadam, everyone used to come and take advice from him. In fact, for us, Guru Purnima is basically on Sanatan's appearance day. For us, we mostly think on that line. We don't think on any other line. So So he says, how could it not happen that you could have shown this example? Right? So very, very important. And our acharyas basically showed it by example. When we actually put down, these were the 6 instructions which Mahaprabhu gave to the Goswamis. Mahaprabhu gave quite a bit, but these were the 6 ones. Can we just read one of you? Ashray Prabhu? One, please. Okay.
Who's scrutinizing the study or the revealed scriptures and expect the results from all.
Okay.
To excavate holy places of Krishna's Leela in the now.
Right.
To build beautiful temples and install wonderful deities and teach the world the proper form of deity worship.
Fourth.
Their personal behavior and conduct, because of the proper Vaishnava and proper etiquette among Vaishnavas, whose behavior is curious to see Lord and making
Wow.
and this Vaishnava etiquette to their writing.
Right. Right. Just understand this. We usually thank the Goswamis for actually writing everything, whatever we need, right? Mahaprabhu only wrote the 8 stanzas, 6 ashram, which we did. But because of Goswamis, we have all that, right? But Mahaprabhu actually stressed so much on that. Just if you just think about the last 3 is all about how behavior is. Mahaprabhu actually said that by your personal behavior and example, you show the conduct of the Vaishnava. That was one of the reasons why Rupa chastised Jiva. You remember that pastime? See, very interesting pastime to understand actually. From both the ways, it's a very nice pastime and something to contemplate on. So just for the ones who don't know it, or for who know it, and to refresh ourselves, is like so there was one very great Pandita who was actually coming and debating with everyone. And he comes and he says, he will usually come and debate with the senior most. And if once you debate and they lose, then you have to give in writing that I have lost, so that he has it in his portfolio. You know, every one of you make your portfolio, and I have defeated this leader. So he came to Sanatan, and as soon as he came to Sanatan, Sanatan said, "Where is the paper?" He just wrote it and you can go. Rupa also wrote it and go. Because for Sanatan and Rupa, that was not one of the instructions. For them, it was more so something else to be done. But this came to this gentleman, I don't know if we should call him gentleman, by the way. So he came, this Jnani, he went about Vrindavan speaking that I have defeated Sanatan and Rupa. And Jiva couldn't take it. Jiva Goswami, basically on whose name most of the scriptural writings are there in BHU also. But then he couldn't take it, and he actually discusses and he cleans him off. And he's defeated. That fellow doesn't even have face to show off. He leaves. Jiva comes back, and he's actually saying that to his Rupa Goswami. So Rupa is not only his uncle, but also his spiritual master in a way, right? He's saying to him, and Rupa is so angry at him. So why did you have to do that? Rupa says, I don't even want to see you. And what does Jiva do? Jiva doesn't try to prove himself. Jiva goes and actually stays in one cave. And it's only later that Sanatan comes and Sanatan speaks in a very poetic way and asks what are the 3 important things which a Vaishnava should do. And one of them is Jiva Daya. So he said, you should do Jiva Daya. And Rupa says, okay, because you are saying so. Again, etiquette. Rupa is hearing to what Sanatan is saying, and then Jiva comes and they reconcile. Of course, Jiva had nothing nasty in his mind, but how you present, people sometimes will take that cue from you and behave accordingly. So that's why the seniors have to behave very properly.
But here comes a question. Usually people ask that, people say that, but we see seniors, and given that we are like, in this mechanical, you have FFM or something, fluid mechanics, or what is that you call it? Foundation for fluid mechanics. Yeah, that's foundation for fluid mechanics for devotees, fault finding mentality actually. So we have a total expert in that. So given that we can see a person and immediately find out what all defects he has. We're like X-ray machines in finding out defects of faults. So when we see seniors, we even start thinking, okay, we are supposed to find out. We are supposed to follow the seniors, but the seniors themselves are having so many differences. And we do that. So seniors have to be careful, but it also means that others as a part of etiquette should also understand how we have to see. Because except for Krishna, except for Guru and Krishna, no one is without defect. Maharaj says a very nice thing, His Holiness Radhan Maharaj says, which I usually think of it. It actually helps me, I hope it helps you all also. Maharaj says, when you see a senior doing that, it means Krishna is teaching you what you should not do. And when a senior is doing something good, that means Krishna is teaching you what you should do. You should take that way. It's not for you to go and say that. We'll anyway touch base that in the etiquette part later. But then, yes, so they were establishing Vaishnava etiquette. But what is the main principle in all of these things, you know? There's one main principle. Whatever we are trying to do is to just follow this principle. There's nothing else. And rest all principles are subservient to this principle. Always forget, always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. Always remember Krishna. We are usually on the opposite side. You saw how I was also speaking. Always forget Krishna. Always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. This should be our guiding principle. So even in our Vaishnava etiquette, so Vaishnava etiquette does not mean that something that I take today, I hear a class, and then I'm a Vaishnava, and then from the next second itself, you cannot even find a small black dot in my white kurta. Nothing of that kind. It's like Vaishnava etiquette is a way of life. Vaishnava etiquette is how you will present yourself. Vaishnava etiquette is how you will behave yourself. Vaishnava etiquette is something which we'll have to inculcate in ourselves. So there are different things which we will have to do, and the acharyas have exemplified it. And the best particular example is Srila Prabhupada. But before we go, this Vaishnava etiquette, I just thought that I should tell you something which I learned also. So Vaishnava etiquette means Vaishnava plus etiquette. Right? We have to understand who a Vaishnava is. Right? Vaishnava. So Vaishnava word comes from Vishnu, right? Anyone who wants to say the meaning of Vishnu? One who is present everywhere, okay? Okay, he says correctly. One is present everywhere. Any other thing? Take the vision. English wala ki Hindi wala? So you can fulfill your English wala wish also. Yeah. Okay. Actually, one of the very nice examples, one of the very nice definitions which I heard from Amrinder Prabhu's class, which I thought I should share with you. Vishnu is someone who creates something and again goes and stays inside the creation. He actually broke that like Ashraya Prabhu broke. Vishnu is someone who creates something and can go and stay inside the creation. Now you can create this computer, right? You're a very big creator, Steve Jobs. He created the Apple Mac, but you cannot go and stay inside the Mac. You understand me? But Vishnu is someone who actually creates the universes. He goes inside and again he stays inside it. That's Vishnu. And then again, after staying inside them, again to maintain that, again he is Vishnu himself who actually maintains that, right? Whatever the Visarga happens, Brahma creates. Again, for maintaining that also, he goes inside and stays across everyone, right? He's sitting now, right? With all of us, he's sitting now. That's Vishnu. So anyone who is a devotee of Vishnu is a Vaishnava. So we understand who is Vishnu. So Vishnu is someone who can create and still stay. Like he's still staying with me. Yeah? You all may not allow me inside the temple if I become an animal next life. Except that if I'm a cow, you may allow me. Please pray that I don't come back as an animal. But in case I come back. But Vishnu will not leave me. Right? So different definitions we see from different perspectives, but one particular definition which was very nice, which Mahaprabhu said, this was particularly very nice, was on the different types of Vaishnava. We'll request someone to read. Guru Prabhu, you can read that. Prabhu, can you read the second one?
One who always chants the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. He is a second class Vaishnava.
Can I read, Prabhu? Can I read, Prabhu?
Yes, can read. Someone online. Can read. Someone offline now.
Hare Krishna. Vaishnava. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was asked who is a Vaishnava, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mentioned that one who chants the holy name of the Lord is a neophyte Vaishnava. One who always chants the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is a second class Vaishnava, second class devotee. And just by seeing him, one feels like chanting Hare Krishna is a first class Vaishnava. Hare Krishna.
People used to see Srila Prabhupada and used to start jumping and chanting Hare Krishna. I've heard people, I've seen one of them, by seeing the spiritual masters. I've seen one example that Prabhu is now, I will not name him, he's one of the very big, very nice leaders in Narsimha Giridhari temple. Prabhu's wife is a Grihastha. Prabhu's wife was a Bhakti Vriksha member, always requesting Prabhu to attend programs and others. Not possible. And one time to our temple here, Maharaj came, Japatak Maharaj came, he's the local GBC, he came. It was totally filled. You know how small we were, it was totally filled. And he comes in the vehicle and this devotee sees him from the far. He just sees him. He didn't attend the class, he didn't do that. And guess what he did? Right from that day, he started chanting Hare Krishna, he gave up non-veg. I've seen that in my life, and today that person is actually one of the circle leaders in my. He's handling around, I think, at least more than 150 devotees in that temple. But the thought is, by seeing someone, you start feeling like chant. That's a pure devotee. It's a first-class Vaishnava. Different definitions, but Vaishnava. Now, it's up to us to decide where we are standing, and once you decide, you should also start looking. See, it's always to figure out where we are and then to work towards the up. It's not to make you feel bad or something, but we should start working about that, right? So this is something which Mahaprabhu gave us, right? If you're a Vaishnava, if you're practicing, then this is something which you have to do, which will form the basis of your existence as a devotee. So that's a Vaishnava. A Vaishnava means someone who should start behaving this way. Humbler than a blade of grass, tolerant than a tree, and giving respect every time to everyone, irrespective of whether they are giving or not. And Prabhupada was a perfect example to that. I've often quoted this example, but I always remember this example, so I'll say it again also. I really like that example when Srila Prabhupada was sitting on the Vyasasana. It was the Amsterdam temple opening. All of you would have remember that. And everything was just, whatever could go wrong was going wrong. And he was like sitting on the Vyasasana and shouting and scolding, and everything was doing that. And there was just someone sitting in front, a hippie who had just joined the temple a day or two back. He didn't even know who Srila Prabhupada was, but he was sitting in the front. And he just planted back. He said, "Hey, old man, why are you angry? Just chant and be happy." And guess what Srila Prabhupada did? Srila Prabhupada just took up his bead bag and started chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Perfect example of a Vaishnava. It's not that who is giving the instruction, but what the instruction is about. Can we take it? It was very difficult, even when our next in line says us something or finds out a mistake in us. We are like, how can that happen? And sometimes we just say, you don't even know that you, Vaishnava Kriya Mudra, you don't know. You're not able to recognize what I'm doing. Prabhupada is not that. We have to be totally transparent. We have to be able to take in, and when we can take in, we should be able to take in and be able to practice our Krishna dance. That is very, very, very important. And one other thing which forms the basis, see, these are some things which will form our basis for our discussions. That's why Prabhupada never took the credit for anything which he was doing. That's when you start behaving as a Vaishnava. That's totally different than how we present ourselves in the material world. In the material world, each yearly appraisal, you have to be able to present yourself the best way possible. In fact, if you have done one, you should be able to say that you have 100 by putting zeros and saying zeros have no value. So you should prove yourself the best out of it so that you are on the top of the bell curve. But in spiritual life, you don't do that. In spiritual life, you're just the opposite. It's like the opposite of the bell. It's like tilak, So you're at the feet of the tilak. You have to be at the lotus feet of the devotees. And every time you have to give credit to someone. Prabhupada did that. This is one of the classes which Bhakti Chara Swami was saying, and Maharaj was saying that some devotees in Bengal, they came and they met Srila Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada, you're bigger than Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They're speaking in Bengali, they're saying that you're bigger than Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And why? Because Mahaprabhu only preached in Bengal, Orissa. But you went to the West, you preached so much. So what Srila Prabhupada didn't bask in the glory. Srila Prabhupada actually said, no, I haven't done anything. No, I haven't done anything. It's all the doing of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and my Guru Maharaj. That's Vaishnava etiquette. Never taking the credit for anything, whatever we do. Big paragraph, I'll just put it out. Prabhupada never accepted the credit. Prabhupada always gave back the credit to Krishna. And by that we saw how Srila Prabhupada prospered, because he never took the credit for himself. Right? So we have seen this, And what Prabhupada said was, Prabhupada said that a Vaishnava is a perfect gentleman. And how will you be a perfect gentleman? You're a perfect gentleman if you're walking the talk. You know what is walking the talk? That means what you're talking, you also practice. That is very, very important. Achar Prachar actually was a little fortunate to see some of the dealings between the Vaishnavas specifically. See, we have never been fortunate to see Srila Prabhupada. Prabhu was. But we all have never been, but we have seen Prabhupada disciples and we have seen how they behave among themselves. I was privy to a couple of interactions, and it really carries a lot of thoughts on how Vaishnava principles should be there between peers, should be there between seniors, and should be there. I thought I should share a pastime or two about that. It's actually, there's a festivity called the Prabhupada Utsav, which is done in Los Angeles somewhere. That's actually the third generation does that. We call them the coolies, if you all know, if you all understand ISKCON lingo. So they do that, Guru coolies, so they do that. And they only perform that. And during that time, all the Prabhupada disciples come across that. And it was one time when actually, and there is still a Prabhupada's Katha, very nice. So they actually sat down. It was three Vyasasana sitting down. Giriraj Swami, Jayapatak Swami was of course on his wheelchair. And then Bhakti Charu Swami was there. And Los Angeles is a temple which follows time like, totally like, they have to be very much time specific. And when Giriraj Swami Maharaj spoke first, I think, yeah, Maharaj spoke and Maharaj spoke for a little longer time. And then Jayapatak Maharaj spoke, he also spoke for some time. And by the time came for Bhakti Charu Swami, he practically had no time left. Generally, if we are three speakers, like, you know, multi-hero facility, multi-hero movies or something, you will sometimes think of, why is it that I didn't get a time to speak or something? Maharaj, even for a second, he didn't say anything of that kind. Maharaj said, I've been hearing Srila Prabhupada's pastimes. Maharaj said, you can continue. Of course, then the crowd said, no, we all want to hear from you because you have been the person spirit. And then Maharaj spoke. Maharaj spoke and spoke and spoke. And the lunch became late. And after that, all the God brothers sat down on a table to sit. Prasad. It was a round table. And Giriraj Swami said, I won't eat prasad. I will only sit with you all. So he sat down in the side. And there was on the table were very glorious Prabhupada disciples. Jayapatak Maharaj was there. On the right was Bhrigupati Prabhu. He's one of the very top book distributors of US, Bhrigupati Prabhu. To his right was Vaisesika Prabhu. At that time, I don't think he was a spiritual master, but he was very nice. Now he is. So Prabhu was sitting. And then we had Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj. So that formed the round. And what happened was they brought and gave the plates. So for Jagannath Maharaj and for Bhakti Charu Swami, the secretaries were there. So I was actually traveling with Jagannath Maharaj. So we put the steel plate in front of. And at that time, in front of Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj, his disciple actually put a silver plate in front of. And Maharaj saw the plate. Maharaj saw everything. Maharaj saw the disciple. I said, get silver plate for everyone. And she was like, what will she do? He said, I will not have this. You have to have silver plate. And it's like, they're like totally gone case what to do. I said, okay, wait a minute, because our house was the closest to that. So I ran across and we had two steel plates for Gurudev. So I brought the other steel plate and I came and gave that. And only after that, they started having prasad. But see, that was a very small incident, but he mentioned, how can I have this with my God brothers? When I will have a silver plate and they'll have a normal plate. You may think that, what does it mean? It is etiquette. Here, when we sit for prasadam, ideally, you are not supposed to start having prasad till the eldest in the line has prasad. That's Vaishnava etiquette. You don't get up from the line till the devotee, the senior most, has completed having his prasad and he gets up. Till that time, you are supposed to sit there. That's Vaishnava etiquette. That's the prasadam regulation. That's followed. Still, it is followed in the villages of Gaudades. It may sound very trivial to you. Oh, I'm done. I have to go and I have to do some work. No, your work is of no value when you have such Vaishnava sitting along with you. And they were following that. And then the next part started. That was the beauty of it. What happened was that pastime I should share with you all. I was serving Jayapati Maharaj and I just took up the plate. Actually, the cook also should have thought that the disciple is the cook. Actually gave prasad only for 2 people in that thing. And I took it out to put it on, because they have their own diet, to put it on the table. And as I was putting on the plate for Japati Maharaj, I said, stop. Give to everyone. Now, how will I give to everyone when the food is itself not there for 2 people? Because they have in less quantity. But that's an instruction. You give to everyone. And that's also an etiquette, that you first serve others and then only you take yourself. I'll take out, and thankfully they were very merciful. They didn't take much, so I could have for that. And same way for, and as well as because it was some specific things, right? So that's how etiquette is. Each one of them behaves very, very nicely with each other. Whenever you see 2 senior Vaishnavas meet, you should actually stop all your work. Stop all your work. Whenever you go to the dham, whenever you're seeing Vaishnavas meet, stop all your work. Sometimes people are hearing, people are talking, just stop everything, just see how they're dealing with each other. Just by seeing that, pavitra hoye, you will become totally pure. Because that will have such an effect on you that you will start behaving like that the next time. Next time when you have your god brother sitting along with you, you will think, should I eat first or should I serve first? And this happened n number of times, which we particularly see, right? Yeah, we are actually on 9 o'clock already, and we are supposed to talk on Vaishnava. Like I said, this will start off on us. So I thought that today, since you're sitting in the temple, when we are coming across, of course, all of you are practicing devotees. Some of you may or may not. So we will go particularly dealings on how things will progress over a period of time. But I usually see when devotees come, how they pay obeisances. So, like I said, don't do the obeisances like is shown below. Sona nahi hai. Pranam karna, it is ashtanga or yusashtanga we call. Sometimes I see mothers doing obeisances like this, which is wrong. Mothers should not be doing sashtanga pranam. Mothers should only be doing panchanga pranam. Like what you do. I'm just going on one etiquette today. So, and you see, the third one is something which we all usually do. Yeah, we usually nowadays, at least the bead bag you put, it's like we have nowadays, you have our eternal paraphernalia, right? I don't know, right? What is our eternal paraphernalia? We have these mobiles. So you don't leave this paraphernalia. Kuch bhi ho jaye, we have to hold our thing. So we hold the phone because someone may take away our phone or something and keep that. So those are all wrong types of offering obeisances. You are just spending a second or 2 or 3 in paying obeisances. And can't you spend it little nicely to pay obeisances? People, I see, actually, it was very much a part of our culture to pay obeisances to elders. But nowadays, I see, they just say, Pai Lagu. But Pai Lagu, you understand, as you understand, Pai Lagu means, Pai means pair. मैं आपके पैर को छूना चाहिए actually, पर पैर को छूते नहीं है, वो बस बोल देते हैं बस. It's like हाथ नीचे तक जाता है. It doesn't even go. Dinesh Prabhu understands that, right? हाथ नीचे तक भी नहीं जाता है, वो ऊपर तक ही रहता है. Even you are actually supposed to bend down and pay obeisances. You don't even do that. At least 90-degree bow तो करना चाहिए, वो भी नहीं होता है. It becomes a very difficult thing. So these are etiquettes which we should learn, and we will be learning across as we progress. In fact, as you come inside the temple, whom are you supposed to pay obeisances first? First to the Vaishnavas. As soon as you enter, you're supposed to pay obeisances to all the Vaishnavas. Then come and pay to the leader. Who is the leader here? Srila Prabhupada. Give him. then come to him. He will be okay. He'll not mind it. He won't mind it. So that needs to be followed properly. These are etiquettes. People forget about that. But we need to remind ourselves. So we actually saw that etiquette is an ornament of Vaishnava. We saw that how Mahaprabhu likes if you follow etiquette. We saw certain examples of how Srila Prabhupada followed etiquette and some of the present spiritual masters. We just started off on this etiquette of obeisances. Actually, the last thing, you're not supposed to pay obeisances when someone is having prasad, please. It becomes very difficult for that person also. I keep having prasad and devotees come and they pay obeisances, and then you are ideally not supposed to pay obeisances to anyone because that is wrong. The Brihanaradi of Prasad says that you should not be paying obeisances while he's bathing, collecting wood, picking flowers, or honoring Prasad. And when he's wearing his shoes. So that's something which you should avoid that. Think about it next time when you're doing this. And when you see a senior Vaishnava, you're actually supposed to pay obeisances twice. Keep this in mind. Once, whether he sees or not, doesn't see, whether she sees or doesn't see, you're supposed to pay obeisance. He or she is senior. But once he or she sees you, you're supposed to at least pay your obeisances again. If you're not able to fall down because of your time constraint, of course, we understand you're Kali Yuga people. You don't have 1 minute, you cannot pay obeisances of saying one chakalpatrobhyascha kripasindubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo. If you're not able to, at least bend down and at least hold your hands and give a smile and just say that you're doing that. But you need to do that. You don't do that, then it's the start of the fall of your spiritual life. You have to think about that. We'll stop here. If anyone has any question, answers, or any
Hare
comments.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam,
Yes,
Prabhuji. Prabhuji,
Dandavat.
the last slide said if your head is covered, you cannot pay obeisances. What does that mean, Prabhuji?
It says that's what it says in the Brihanaradi Puran, that if your head is covered, if someone's head is covered, you don't pay obeisances to that particular person. I don't know, how do we understand that? I'll ask that to Bhaktivinoda Prabhu. Okay, the question was, there is a statement here which says that if you're eating, bathing, or wearing shoes, or if your head is covered, you should neither offer nor receive obeisances physically. And the question is, if your head is covered, usually mothers. Okay. If your head is covered, Prabhu is saying covering your head.
I have a question, Jagannath Prabhu.
1 minute, Prabhu. Prabhu is saying that if you're sleeping and you're covered your head, that time you should not be sleeping. You'll pay obeisances in dream. Yeah, paying obeisances is not required. I'm just repeating it. Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. As you said, if we are wearing shoes or other person at whom you want to pay obeisance, he is also wearing shoes, we should not pay. Suppose your initiated guru comes in front of you, he is wearing shoes. You can remove your shoes, but you cannot ask your guru, you remove shoes. So, but in that situation, what we should do, whether we pay obeisance or not?
Yes, Prabhu, I'll tell that question also, and I think Prabhu's answers that. So there's a question from Anukul Prabhu. Anukul Prabhu is saying that you're almost the same line, Prabhu, what you said. So, he's saying that your spiritual master is wearing your shoes, and you're wearing shoes, and you have to pay obeisance. It says that you shouldn't pay obeisances when someone is wearing shoes.
Exactly.
But you're seeing your spiritual master, so you have to pay obeisances. You remove your shoes and you pay obeisances. Prabhu, what Prabhu was saying was that it's Bhaktivinoda Prabhu actually said, I'm just repeating it for them online, that it's not a fad, it's something which we should do to reduce our ego and to give respect actually. So in that case, we should give our respect. And whenever he sees, then he can bless or whatever it is correct enough. It can be done. I think the basic principle is to remember Krishna, never forget. And in this case, your spiritual master is in front of you, so we don't think that he's wearing his shoes and I shouldn't be paying. Yeah, we can go and help him to put on his shoes.
But he's already.
That's it.
Okay, thank you.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
प्रभु हरे कृष्णा। प्रभु हरे कृष्णा। प्रभु एक प्रश्न है कि डेटीज को जब सुला दिया जाता है, निद्रा में होते हैं डेटीज, तो क्या हम उनको दंडोत प्रणाम कर सकते हैं, नहीं कर सकते?
Okay, that's difficult questions coming up, Prabhu. But these also two different thoughts. When deities are asleep also, so do we pay obeisances or we do not pay obeisances?
प्रभु हिंदी में बताएंगे अच्छा है।
Yeah. But generally for others, we ask them when they are sleeping not to pay obeisances. Right? The thought is more important, that they have to pay. Yes.
Bring the answer.
So Prabhu actually, so Prabhu, the answer what Prabhu gave is.
हाँ प्रभु हिंदी में देंगे अच्छा रहेगा, हिंदी में थोड़ा बताएंगे।
हिंदी में बताऊं तो प्रभु बोल रहे हैं कि जब एक पुजारी भगवान को सुलाते हैं, भगवान को सुलाने के बाद बाहर आते हैं, बाहर आने के बाद वो प्रणाम करते हैं।
यस यस प्रभु, यही मैं जानना चाहता था। हाँ
तो प्रणाम करते हैं।
और भगवान के यस, और मॉर्निंग में जब जाते तो
पूरी में प्रभु बोले कि पूरी में आप भगवान का दर्शन बंद होता है तो आप सुदर्शन चक्र को भी आप प्रणाम करते हो तो भी उसका फायदा मिलता है।
यस प्रभु।
Yes. Having said that, there is one, I forget, it's Nectar of Devotion somewhere, wherever Prabhu says that if the deity is asleep, we don't pay obeisances, something of that kind is mentioned from. But what you said is actually something very practical, which we have.
That is something that is normal fixed for one. The other is your heart for how I know I didn't come on time.
Excuse me. Yes. And they pay. The Lord is Shri Krishna. Always remember. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. One more question.
Could you repeat
One
what you
more
said?
question there, and then we take. Can we take up offline questions and then go for online? Prabhu, just hold on. Any questions for all of you? No. Yes, Prabhu.
Praise the Lord. Could you repeat what he said? Praise sir.
When? We should not pay when. Oh, in front of the Lord. Okay, there is a question here. There is a question here that we should not pay obeisances in front of the Lord to the Vaishnavas, but we are supposed to pay obeisances also. Maybe I'll try and then I'll leave to Prabhu to answer that. Usually in the temple hall, we are not supposed to pay obeisances other than to Srila Prabhupada, maybe when spiritual master. But there is a certain area cordon. After that, maybe you should pass to the devotees. But you can at least wish your hand of respect to that.
Could you repeat that?
That's the rule which we follow even in our temple. And it is the whole point of Tulsi Arati also happening outside, and the altar close also can be attributed a little bit to that. Tulsi Maharani doesn't like to be worshipped when the Lord is saying, because she is the Lord's devotee. So the deity also, of course, the deity also gets dressed up for the next Arati. But then by the time we do for Tulsi, because Tulsi, how will you feel in front of you? Supposing Maharaj is sitting on the Vyasasana and I come and pay obeisances to you. Will you feel nice about it? No, right. All the respect should go to the person out there who is the senior most. I think that makes more sense. So the person also should understand that. In his heart, he can pay obeisances, that he is doing proper. But and if you are in such a condition, then you should for sure pass on that obeisances to your spiritual master without accepting that. That should be more important. Do you think that's okay?
You happen to see a Mayavadi sannyasi, what do you do? Normally, he said if you see a Mayavadi, you should come to the Ganga.
but sannyasi will pay obeisances. Right.
For our own benefit.
Right.
Because he's part of the Varnashram. Right. By respecting the Varnashram, you pay Varnashram. So from that point of view, you can pay obeisances. That is one situation.
Right.
Otherwise, if you come to the the extreme thing is, suppose there is only a Pujari on the altar, and somehow the person, the sannyasi or serious Vaishnava, somebody happens to come for an announcement, not knowing that he's going to come, so nobody else will prepare. What the Pujari should do at that time? Ask for stop the puja. That's a very exceptional situation. Some important sannyasi or some other something like that. Right. That is on behalf of the deity you are welcoming. Wow. You're not stopping the worship of the deity. You're acting on behalf of the deity. And you are receiving. So that's what the deity wants.
The thought and consciousness matters. The thought and consciousness matters.
Yeah, you're acting on behalf of the Lord. You never know from which temple, which person will happen to come or bring somebody. That can happen. Especially in the afternoon or Jagannath or 4 o'clock. It happened, it never happened in our temple, but in the now or somebody wake up and invite an invitation to Master.
Right.
In those situations, Puja should act on behalf.
I just remembered a pastime, Prabhu, on that. I just remembered a pastime. Srila Prabhupada was walking in Calcutta, happened to go to a businessman's house. And when he entered the house, the servant came and said that, please sit, my master is worshipping the deity. Prabhupada said, Kanishta Adhikari. Exactly like what he said, I just know. He's a Kanishta Adhikari. He doesn't know that he has to respect, he has to come out and greet me.
Prabhupada stayed a few days in the house also. So when Prabhupada came around and he saw him and was invited, he knew he was going to meet him. So Prabhupada thought of the board, Patana Acharya. Prabhupada said that if you are with us with Acharyas.
Right. Both ways, yes. Essence of it. I have a couple of questions online, but devotees who would like to leave can leave. I'll just take it. Okay, yes, Chaitanya Chandra Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. The question is normally, the disciples keep spiritual masters' footwear, and then they consider it as a worshipable lotus feet of spiritual master itself. So, like my question is on the footwear, like because it came in the thing in the etiquettes while wearing the footwear, not supposed to pay obeisances. So what about this keeping the footwear and worshipping it and paying obeisances to the footwear?
Yeah, okay, a very nice question. It's like, if you remember when Lord Ramachandra left Ayodhya, what represented the Lord? Bharat actually went and brought the lotus shoes of Lord Ramachandra, and that sat on the Simhasan actually. So he can represent he can represent the Lord himself. In fact, a very interesting pastime Kadamkanan Swami says, this was a time when the temple of Srila Prabhupada, what do you call the New Vrindavan temple, West Virginia, was away from our movement. For some time it was out of the movement. So one time what happened was, so there is Palace of Gold for Srila Prabhupada, so those of you have got very beautiful temple. So actually this lady went to take pranam. She did, like Prabhu said, afternoon time, no one was there, and this lady goes in, pays obeisances to Srila Prabhupada. And she hears that the deity saying, take my shoes. She turns out, turns this side, turns that side, take my shoes. She doesn't understand. She's not even a complete devotee.
The voice is kept.
Not able to hear you, Prabhu.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, not able to hear you, Prabhu.
He's on mute, I think. He's on mute.
I don't know, but they could never find about that. It was this passed by. And it was after 2-3 years, suddenly that lady got a dream. it was after some time, she had a dream and she said, I should go and return back the shoes. And she actually came and returned back the shoes. And Maharaj actually goes about to explain that when Prabhupada left that place and went, Maharaj says that Prabhupada left that place and went. Because the shoes does represent the particular entity, and that's what we do even when the lordships are taking rest. We take the shoes out, and we don't take the deities, and we take the shoes and we take side. So the shoes are representing that particular deity. When you put to rest to them, that is what it is. So that's why we take the shoes of the spiritual master and we worship them, because that is equivalent to the spiritual master. And spiritual master, one has to understand, is not a normal jiva. Spiritual master is Guru Tattva. It's very difficult to understand. So that's why we worship the lotus shoes of the spiritual master, and that is given. And like you say, Sakshat Dharitvena Samasta Sastre Uktastatha Bhav Yata Eva Sadvi. The spiritual master is to be treated like God. We are not saying God, but like God. So give accordingly the respect. Chaitanya Prabhu, I hope that answers you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
And last one question, Nandeshwari Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dhanvat Pranam. Prabhuji, like what we are discussing, when the Lord is taking rest, we should not pay obeisances. So I remember, like when we did this Vaishnava etiquette course, that whenever, like even when Lord, the bhoga is being offered and all that, so something they had said that, the Lord needs to reciprocate if you're offering obeisances. So we should not be disturbing the Lord. That is why we don't pay obeisances when, we're offering bhoga or whenever the curtain is closed. So, and just now we said that, we should see the bhav. So how can we correlate both of them?
I will say what Prabhu said. Prabhu is sitting here also. Prabhu can correct my understanding. I'm mostly rectifying my understanding. What Prabhu said was, after you close, rest the deities, it's a matter of your regulations also, as per the Pancharatmika Deepa. You come out and you pay obeisances, saying that, okay, I've tried my best, and if there are any mistakes on my part, please forgive me for that. Please accept that, right? You pay obeisances and you stay. In modern way, Prabhu is saying punch in and punch out. So you're logging out, so you have to log out. So that's where you have to say. But yes, you don't disturb the lordships, because so that he will not respond. But you are not expecting a reciprocation, maybe, Masterji. You are just completing your side of the game without doing that. I think that can be a fine understanding with what our Prabhu is explaining.
Okay, Prabhuji, thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Okay, thank you all. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. We'll continue this next Sunday. Those of you who want to join us. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Dandavat
Thank
Prabhu.
you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Thank you.
तो प्रभुजी वन रिक्वेस्ट, मैं थोड़ा रिक्वेस्ट करना चाहती थी, प्लीज. हरे कृष्णा. हाँ, मेरी रिक्वेस्ट थी आपसे थोड़ा, कि आप जैसे बताते हैं ना, क्या ये संभव होगा कि थोड़ा सा आप हिंदी में भी हम लोगों को बताएं, तो हम ज्यादा
अगले रविवार को हम हिंदी और इंग्लिश दोनों में बताएं.
थैंक यू प्रभुजी. अच्छे से लाभान्वित हो सकेंगे सभी लोग.
हरे कृष्णा.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man.